everybody, welcome back to Feeney's Studio. Today we're going to be talking about trimming feet on pottery wheel objects. So I have all of the 6 bowls that I made yesterday with you all. So we're going to be trimming the feet on these bowls. Oftentimes when you buy pottery, you want to make sure that it has a nice trimmed foot, and that's going to, it just looks a little bit better. Okay, so when you go to trim your pottery on the wheel, you want to make sure that the actual ceramic is leather hard or a little bit, even a little harder than leather hard. If it's really, really soft and buttery, it's going to be tough to trim your wheel. This is why you don't do it right after you finish throwing your object. So you want them to be firm enough that you can kind of go back and forth in your hands, and that it's not going to disrupt the overall shape of your object. So then what you're going to do is place it as close to the center of your wheel head as you can, using the rings on your wheel head as kind of a marker, so you can sort of figure that out. And the other thing that I like to do to help make sure that I have my object in the center of my wheel is a little trick that I'm going to show you in just a second. So you'll notice that I have a cup of water on the front of my wheel table here. And what I like to do is, once I think I have my bowl about centered in my wheel head, I'm going to take a wet tip of a paintbrush, and I just place that right about 1/4 of an inch outside of where my bowl is. And then as I'm slowly spinning, now I can stop and take a look all the way around my bowl and make sure that, yeah, it's in the center all the way around. And then you can make your necessary adjustments as you see fit. So then the way that you're going to actually adhere your bowl onto the wheel so that you can use your tools to carve that foot out, you'll take a little bit of wet clay in small little pieces, and you're going to place and press that right into the rim of your bowl so that it sticks to the wheel head and to the side of your bowl. The great thing about this is that it doesn't actually stick, and it doesn't really make any alterations or changes to the form or shape of your bowl. Even if you find that, like, oh, whoops, I pressed a little bit too hard and it made a dent into the side of the bowl, that's all right. That you can fix that a little bit later on. So I just used 5 little pieces. You can use more if you have a taller or a larger piece. Since this is relatively low to the wheel head, it doesn't need to be really fastened in. And so then we're going to begin. So another thing that I like to do with my paintbrush is that I'm going to find, I like to trim 2 little spots so that the bowl actually has a rim of raised clay on the bottom, and I carve out everything. So I'm going to find this spot on what would be the inside, and I literally just paint a line of water there so that I can see it. Then I'm going to take from these carving tools. These are called ribbon tools, so they're actually like flat like ribbons, but they have fairly sharp edges, so they're really nice as for cutting into leather hard clay. So I'm going to use just the corner of this side of this ribbon tool right in here, and I'm just going to trace and carve out a circular strip right from the center of my clay. Now this is also sort of something that you should be thinking about while you're making your bowl on the pottery wheel when your clay is still really wet, because it's going to impact, if you go carving in really deep right away, you're going to go right through the bottom of the floor of your piece. So you want to kind of have an idea of how thick the floor of your piece is. So I'm going to continue carving a little bit more and a little bit more. And now I have enough space where I'm going to create the line that's going to be the outer part of the foot that's standing up. So this is also kind of a an area for creativity. You can get really into this. You can create a design, a spiral, something else that you want to put into it. And a lot of potters, I think, kind of have their own signature foot that they will carve each time. I tend to change it up, so I'm not always doing the same tools. And you can also, as you're carving, I'm just slowly spinning my wheel. At this point, or during this kind of activity on the wheel, you don't ever want to get your wheel going really fast. That's when your piece will rip off from those little attachers to the wheel head, and then your piece will go flying, and that's not what we want. Okay, so I have the center carved out, and now you'll notice that this bottom part, when I was throwing it, I wasn't able to really pull that in as much as I want to. So this is also another design technique that I'm going to use and show you. The important thing here also is that you're using your balance as you would as if you were throwing it. So you want to still make sure that your back is centered, that your elbows are planted on your thighs. And
do you want to hang the center right up just one How about Tuesday?
And that also ensures that your foot is going to be centered. So all these pieces that you're peeling, they can sometimes, depending on what state your clay is in, you can recycle them if they're really dry. If they're still really moist, then you can just squeeze them back into a ball and reuse them. Mine are pretty dry, so I'm going to pile them in for my recycling, but I'm not going to do that until I'm done with all six. So then once you're satisfied with the profile of your foot and you think this looks good, you go ahead and then you'll remove all of these little clay stands that you've used to adhere your bowl to the wheel, and then you can pull your bowl right out of the wheel. And before I end up firing these, I'm going to do a little bit of finish work with a sponge.
Okay, so exactly
Here, so I can actually do some texture on the outside. But this is what the bottom of your bowl should look like. Thanks for watching.